talking about healthy and unhealthy ENFJs. So let's actually, while I'm doing this, let's just look up the first description I see of ENFJ when I type it into Google and tell you what it says. This is from the 16personalities.com/ENFJ personality. ENFJs are natural born leaders, full of passion and charisma, forming around 2% of the population. They're oftentimes are politicians, coaches, teachers, reaching out and inspiring others to achieve and to do good in the world. All right, do you see how this says natural born leader? Do you see how it doesn't say every ENFJ is a leader? They have it in them if you want to tap into that. Natural confidence. Okay, natural confidence. Not all ENFJs are confident. They take a great deal of pride and joy in guiding others to work together and improve themselves in their community. See how that's a very middle of the road statement. Unhealthy ENFJs will take too much pride and take too much responsibility for their work, and they will have almost negative motivations, be like, I'm trying to help you because I love you, but really they just want to feel like they're a good person. Whereas other, like, more healthy ENFJs, they just really, that's just what they love to do, is to help others. It's what makes them feel the most them. So anyway, that's just the first paragraph, just so that we can get into this. I took some notes about sort of the differences between the healthy and unhealthy. And I hope that I can sort of illustrate to you how there's a spectrum that any ENFJ can sort of fall somewhere within this line, and probably you hop within the negative and the very healthy. I gotta get my coffee. Fun fact about me, I used to be addicted to Diet Coke. I drank like 6 Diet Cokes a day. And so now I'm at the place where it's about like 3 coffees in a morning. And so, yeah. If you know me as a person, my personality, I don't necessarily need more caffeine or more energy. So, yeah, I don't know. So, okay, selfless. A lot of ENFJs would like to call themselves selfless. I think that this is a good sort of demonstration of the healthy and unhealthy spectrum, because and if you don't know what I'm talking about by healthy and unhealthy, I'm gonna link my video below that I did sort of to explain this challenge, or not challenge, to explain this series that I'm doing, so just so we're all on the same page. So unhealthy ENFJs, they are selfless in the sense that they do not care about their own personal needs. What they do is they do things for others because they think that that's the only way that their needs are going to be met. They give and give and give without ever giving to themselves or filling up their own cup, because they sort of depend on others. They depend on the fact that if I'm a good person, if I'm giving, then perhaps the world will reward me with other people giving back to me. The issue is, whenever an ENFJ does not care for themselves, what's going to happen is they're going to put a lot of expectations on others to care for them, because we're selfless, right? Unhealthy ENFJs, or ENFJs that are sort of in the grip of their personality and in their unhealthy patterns, they don't realize and are almost oblivious to the fact of how when they're giving, they're actually giving to get. They aren't giving from a pure intention. They sort of put expectations on everything that they've done. And all of this is unconscious. You might hear an ENFJ say, no, I'm not putting any expectations. And maybe they're not. And this is where you're supposed to like really look at them as an individual. Because some ENFJs, they might feel like, hey, I always used to set expectations, but I understand that that's what I'm doing now, and so I make a point to not. And so how dare you think that I am putting expectations? But anyway, it's an unhealthy ENFJ pattern to, every time they're giving, to sort of have this expectation on others because they want to be in equal relationships. They want to feel like, as long as I'm a good person, as long as I'm nice, as long as I'm giving, as long as I'm kind, as long as I do that, then maybe, just maybe, the world will reward me with other people giving things to me. On the other hand, healthy ENFJs, they, as opposed to using their FE as like, okay, one way of looking at it is, okay, all ENFJs use extroverted feeling as their top function, but are you in control of your FE, or is your FE in control of you? So all ENFJs will see sort of a emotional blueprint of what's going on in the world. Feedback. It's like we have little sensors all around us, and we can just pick up the emotional behavior of people in the room. Unhealthy ENFJs, they're a slave to that behavior. Healthy ENFJs, they notice the emotions, and they use that as information that will help them influence the group in the way that they believe is for the better. Unhealthy ENFJs, the way that their introverted intuition is that they sort of alienate themselves. They feel like they're a weirdo. They feel like they don't belong anywhere. They feel like they're an annoying piece of shit that has nothing to offer the world, and so you might as well just try and blend in and be nice and hope that people will be curious enough about you to try and scoop up that introverted intuition. I've heard some people comment that like ENFJs are kind of basic. I don't think that that is true at all. If you see an ENFJ that you think is basic, they are lying to you. They are so afraid of who they are that they are straight up lying to you. Especially on my INFJ video, I got a lot of INFJs saying that it seemed like they thought that ENFJs they knew were just sort of like popular, like basic, like didn't have much NI going on. I'm just telling you, they're lying. If an ENFJ looks like they're completely okay with the status quo, that is just a sad attempt to fit in and to get love. Inside they're dying. Inside they're like, why do I feel so different than everyone else around me? And they're like internally screaming. So just as INFJs say that they care just as much about being loved with their extroverted feeling, even though it doesn't look that way, ENFJs with their introverted intuition, it is there and they can feel it. They might just be a little bit better at hiding it. So yeah, unhealthy ENFJs can sort of wear this mask of the group that they want to belong to and just do all the right things to fit into that group. Even though they might be smiling and laughing, they're not happy unless they are being true to themselves. Healthy ENFJs use their introverted intuition as a pathway to forge their own path. They cut through all the bullshit of extroverted feeling and they decide which feelings do I want to feel, which feelings do I not want to feel, and then they use their introverted intuition to just have a laser focus and go for it. Go for what they know that they deserve and what they want. Another big distinguisher is, are you attached to the emotions of the room? Are you attached to the feedback that you receive? Would you do something good if you were not going to get someone approval saying, hey, good job, pat on the back? Would you go for your dreams if you weren't worried that you would get negative feedback and haters on your back? Just think about how much that feedback controls you. That is a huge thing with ENFJs. The feedback is either gonna like control you or motivate you. Like you're gonna get the feedback no matter what. You gotta be yourself. You shouldn't wish that you don't have that feedback. You should be thankful for that feedback and say, you know what? That's gonna help me with whatever career I end up doing, because I'm gonna know what the people are talking about, and I can use that to either be like, you know what, maybe I'm targeting the wrong people because this isn't the reaction I want, or oh, maybe I can improve a little bit, or oh, you know, I don't know, just you use it as information and you don't let it control you. So, okay, healthier ENFJs, they use their introverted intuition to be very intentional and deliberate about their actions and everything that they do. Whereas unhealthy ENFJs, they can be kind of impulsive. It's like they aren't aware of their introverted intuition until it bubbles up and tells them to go. And unhealthy ENFJs can kind of be in this pattern of extroverted feeling and extroverted sensing, where they're just talking the talk, walking the walk, kind of. Like, they just don't really feel like they're embodying it. They're just like, hey, how are you? Hey, blah, blah, blah. And they're just like sort of moving through life. And they don't always pay attention to whether or not they're being true to themselves. They are just thinking about every action as an individual action and trying to do the best thing that they can in the place that they are. I don't know if that makes sense. They don't think about their life as a path or like they don't look at it from a bird's eye view in the way that a lot of introverted intuition people do. It's still there and it's still like kind of internally screaming, but they will do what they're supposed to do, and then until their introverted intuition is screaming so much that their extroverted sensing will make like a drastic decision. This has actually happened many times in my life where I was not in a great place, where my extroverted sensing will just sort of be like, all right, enough's enough, I'm making a change, and it doesn't really seem thought through. I mean, those things aren't necessarily bad, like you should do them if you feel like you need a change, but more healthier ENFJs will be very intentional about the change that they make. Like, for example, I'm starting like a bullet journal. I don't know if you have heard of that topic, but it's essentially where you can sort of create your own journal and like planner and sort of track your habits and things like that. Right now, I'm in a better place than I ever have been. I'm not saying I'm the most healthy ENFJ ever, but compared to my life, I'm way more healthy than I've ever been. And I was trying to make like a habit tracker, and I was trying to decide what sort of habits I would want to track. And I know that a younger version of me would have just put like 15 to 20 habits and been like, yes, in 2018, I'm going to do all of these every single day, which is kind of ridiculous. But anyway, like with a healthier ENFJ is going to really try and be intentional and make sure that everything you do, you actually are going to set your mind to and do it. Whereas unhealthier ENFJs don't have a great sense of, they tend to overcommit and underdeliver because they don't have a great sense of their energy level and what they can actually commit to giving. They might commit to doing like 15 things because they want to do all of them, and then just get really mad at themselves when they aren't doing it. Healthy ENFJs have a very strong sense of self, and they lead by example. They don't try and tell you what to do. Unhealthy ENFJs will sort of be very self-righteous and tell you, well, this is the way that it's supposed to be, so if you want to be a good person, then that's what you should do. Whereas healthier ENFJs will embody it with their extroverted sensing. And also healthier ENFJs, they know why they're doing what they're doing. They're independent from other people. They are embodying the change they want to see in the world, and they are influencing others to become that. Unhealthier ENFJs see a lot of problems in the world. They don't know how they fit in, and they might accidentally embody the problem just because they want to fit in, even though they see that there's a problem. Unhealthier ENFJs, they don't ask for help. Oh, yeah. So while healthy ENFJs, they know why they're doing what they're doing, unhealthy ENFJs, they just felt like it. But they trust that gut. They're like, I just felt like it. And they do it, and they trust that gut. that's their introverted intuition still, but they don't always know why. You'll find a lot of unhealthy ENFJs on social media a lot. And I would say that healthy ENFJs are on social media as well. Like, it just, ENFJs tend to like social media, but pay attention to what they're posting. It's going to be quite different for healthy versus unhealthy ENFJs. Unhealthier ENFJs, they're going to make it look like their life is absolutely perfect. Whereas healthier ENFJs might let you in on sort of the good, the bad, and the ugly, because they feel that that's more authentic. And so it might be hard to even notice, because you might think that, oh, this person's super healthy because they go on extravagant trips to Europe and, you know, they have this perfect boyfriend and this perfect group of friends or whatever. That still is like more likely that the ENFJ is not in a great spot if that's all they're posting. Also, yeah, unhealthier ENFJs, they're kind of dependent on other people and can be kind of clingy with their friends. And a lot of them don't really know what to do if it wasn't for their friends. And if they had a Friday night or Saturday night off, they would think that that meant that they are an absolute loser, that they couldn't find plans, like it was like completely on them. They sort of take responsibility for everything that happens in their life, and they don't ever just let it roll off the shoulder. That's another pattern. Yeah, and just to finish it off with the introverted thinking, healthier ENFJs are much more confident sharing their opinions, and the reason why is because they're less afraid of what people are going to say about those opinions, because they have gotten in control of their extroverted feeling as opposed to their extroverted feeling being in control of them. And so healthy or unhealthier ENFJs, they have a lot of opinions, but they really don't want to piss anyone off, and so what they'll do is they'll tell their closest friends really harsh opinions, but to the real world or to the larger world they won't, and so that might make them seem like gossips, because they might just be kind to everyone's face, but then to their closest friends they will have like a lot of issues. Like maybe they're like at work and one of their co-workers did something and they'll be like, oh, it's not a big deal, and then they'll like tell their best friend like, oh my god, I was so annoyed. And so if you're an ENFJ watching this, I would say that even the best of us get stuck into this like trap. So really just pay attention to the words you're saying. And, you know, Brene Brown, in her most recent book about Braving the Wilderness, I think it's called, she talks about trust and how one of the tenets of trust is when things are in the vault. And even though ENFJs, they might feel like, oh, well, if someone tells me not to tell anyone, of course I'm not going to. But also, whenever you share things that aren't yours to share, or whenever you kind of gossip about other people and share things that aren't necessarily in your place, it makes you look a lot less trustworthy. And I think that a lot of ENFJs, I've actually heard this complaint from TJs that I know, talking about their ESFJ or ENFJ friends. They're like, oh, they're always talking crap about other people to me, and so it makes me wonder what they're saying about me. What's interesting about that is that they probably aren't saying anything about you. If they trust you enough to tell you crap about other people, then that means that they like trust you. But it's still an issue, isn't it? Because it doesn't make you look that great. Anyway, so yeah, that's their introverted thinking. Sorry, a lot of words here this morning. Healthier ENFJs, their introverted thinking they'll sort of use it as an outlet and like share their thoughts in some way without fear of what people will think. And they're also probably a little bit less hard on themselves. But oh my goodness, I would say all ENFJs are very hard on themselves, have very high standards for themselves. And if it ever looks like ENFJs are having a high standard for you and are judging you and being self-righteous, just think about the standards they have on themselves. If they're being that hard on you, like, they're way harder on themselves. And unhealthy ENFJs absolutely have, like, really, like, their introverted their introverted thinking is just, like, beating themselves up on every single action. And so being able to let go of that is one of the main differences between a more transformed ENFJ and a more stuck in their ways ENFJ. So I hope this video was helpful. If you're thinking that you might be an ENFJ but you weren't sure, hopefully this can sort of show the spectrum. Maybe you can relate to, oh, that's how I was when I was like 10, but that describes more how I am at like age 30. If you can see that, then you're definitely an ENFJ. If you relate to the healthy versions of ENFJ, but you don't relate at all to the more unhealthy, you might be an ENFP, or you might be an INFJ, or an INFP even, like you might just be a different type. Because sort of the way it works is you're born into this world with a predisposition and a pattern of this cognition, and you grow out of those behaviors. So stay tuned to, I'm going to be doing a video like this to every single type. It can hopefully help you type your friends, type others, and also take things with a grain of salt. In the typing community, people will be like, I don't get along with this type because blah, blah, blah. And honestly, that's just nonsense. Like, you don't know another person. There are absolutely amazing people of every type. And don't even be like, well, I don't get along with this type because I know one person. And honestly, the worst offenders of this are introverts. I have a lot of introverts that comment on my pages where they'll say, well, I've never met an ENFJ I got along with. Well, maybe you should meet more people. How many people do you meet a day? Really? Like, I mean, I'm not trying to be rude here, but maybe you should meet more people. And if you met more people, then maybe you would understand that you aren't just, don't get along with this type. Like, that's a very closed-minded way of thinking. So, no shade to introverts. You don't have to meet more people as long as you are aware that there are a lot of people that you haven't met. There are a lot of people I haven't met as extroverts. I mean, everyone has a lot of people that they haven't met. But sometimes it seems like introverts can be a little bit closed-minded and think that they know all there is to know about each types of people, when maybe you should be a little bit more open-minded. But anyway, I hope this video was helpful. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Please, let's start a conversation in the comments. I respond to almost every single comment if you have any thoughts on this. And please vote in the corner to let me know which type you want me to do next. Thank you.